Hello, and welcome back to Madness in the Method, the podcast where we focus on the strange career of Nicolas Cage, and we take a deep dive into his filmography. My name is Tobias, and with me is my friend and trusted co-host Christopher.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone. And in this episode, we're going to talk about Racing Arizona, which I hadn't seen before. Had you seen it before?
Yeah, I saw it a while back, around high school, I think.
Okay.
I was going through not all of them, but I just found the Coen brothers, so I went back and watched some old movies. Older movies. And this was one of them. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'd never seen it before. I've had it in my collection for quite a while, but never watched it. I'm not sure why.
What was your opinion before you saw it?
Before I saw it, all I knew about it was that it was a Coen movie. Mm-hmm. So I thought it must be good, because like most of what they do is at least good, if not great. So
that is true.
Yeah, I was prepared for it to be maybe a little more amateurish, since it's their second like big budget movie, or not even big budget, but their second like actual movie. I mean, no, they made some shorts before Blood Simple, but this was their second big movie. And I gotta say, I spoilers for the rest of the conversation. I didn't think it was amateurish at all.
Yeah, it's straight from the first scene, or you realize this is a Coen Brothers movie, and it is the way they make movies.
Oh yeah.
And, as you said, it doesn't feel like this is the first movie. It feels like there's like fourth movie where they got their stuff down and they know how to make movies. But
yeah,
and obviously they do so.
yes, obviously. But let's quickly go through the plot. It's pretty easy, pretty simple. Hi or Herbert is his actual name, I think.
H.I. is also something.
H.I. Yeah. But no, he signs the letter later in the movie with Herbert, I think.
Oh, okay.
Either way, played by Nicolas Cage, is a repeat offender, also known as a recidivist. If you watched Trailer Park Boys, you learn that word. And I mean, they do say it in here as well, recidivism. Anyway, and he falls in love with a police officer whom he meets every time he has to take a new mugshot. So they when he finally decides to go straight, so to speak, they decide to get married, and to start a family. But turns out, Ed, or Edwina, as the police officer is called, played by Holly Hunter, is barren, as she says. So they can't have a child, and because of H.I.'s checkered past, they can't adopt either. So they decide to kidnap a baby, as one does, and hilarity ensues. Yeah,
because they see on the TV that a rich couple has gotten 5 children.
Yeah, and they even say in an interview it's more than we can handle. So we'll take one of them off your hands.
Exactly. Yeah, and it is very, very Coen in Coen Brothers in this. It just builds more things.
Oh, yes.
Things on top of things, the story arcs and storylines and characters just crossing paths all the time. It's not as intricate as some of the other movies.
No, definitely.
Like, for example, Big Lebowski.
Yes.
which is maybe a little too much of that.
Yeah, I love that movie, but it's when you think of all the
it's still hard for me when I rewatch it to just remember, just get the story straight. But yeah, so in this one they had a moderate amount of that.
Yes. It's still noteworthy how many different plots you can get into a pretty straightforward movie like this.
Yeah,
there are prison runs, bank robberies, kidnappings, bounty hunters from hell. Yeah.
And there's an unpainted furniture store in the middle of everything.
Oh yes. Let me ask you then. What did you think of the movie before you saw it this time? Did you?
So I only remembered vividly the first part, the part up until the title screen, so to speak.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. It's very stylized since it's all in with narration.
Yeah, it's
basically.
almost the same as the beginning of Up, Pixar.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah.
We sort of just recap a big chunk of time in just a couple of minutes, and it's expertly done, I'd say, in this one. In Up too, obviously.
Yeah.
But so I only remembered that part, and then some bits and pieces, like some characters. I completely forgot the prison scene and stuff like that. So I was remembering I remembered I liked the movie, and I was expecting to like it this time too, but I didn't really remember what was gonna happen or how it would go.
Okay.
So yeah, I was mostly just excited to see it again.
And after watching it this time, did your opinions change in any way?
It is a lot sillier than I remember.
Oh, yes. Well,
but I didn't mind.
Silly.
I didn't mind it, but from my point of view, I was thinking it would be more Barton Fink-esque.
Okay.
A little slower, a little more weight of the world. So and there was none of that. So I liked it, but in a different way than I expected.
Okay.
If you put it like that.
I did see the trailer a while back when we started all this. So I did not expect it to be like heavy, because the trailer is very silly, very comedic. But it even surpassed that for me. This is first of all, it's an outright comedy. I laughed out loud several times.
Yeah.
Which you don't usually do with Coen movies. I mean, sometimes you do, but this is by far the funniest movie they've made, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd say that. This is the most straight up comedy.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't think it had any like serious moments really.
Not really serious. I mean, there is some serious undertones.
Yeah, there are these things with that she's can't have children and they're sad about it, but it's all played for laughs. Nothing is played for to be serious.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, some of the imagery and some subtle stuff is very dark. Like, I mean, the bounty hunter is literally like a horseman of the apocalypse. He brings death wherever he goes, and it's funny, but it's also, I mean, he is part real, but also part of H.I.'s subconscious. Like, he's feeling guilty for kidnapping a baby.
Yeah,
which is very, very dark, but also in a way very funny. You know, it's darkly comedic.
I did read that character, Leonard Smalls.
Yeah,
name, I think. Yeah. The Coen brothers, they thought him up from the point of view of H.I.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it wasn't not a bad guy that they would come up with, but what would our character come up with if we made the worst bad guy that this character could come up with? That's the way they made that guy, or the design of him at least.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that makes sense, because it's almost like he springs out of H.I.'s nightmares.
Yeah,
because he's the only character that seems to like break the rules of reality. I'm not going to read too much into that. That's just for the effect of it. But I mean, he does disappear and reappear into scenes, and
yeah. But they have also this weird sort of. I don't think it's something it's meant to even reflect or analyze it anyway. But this sort of that H.I. can, in a way, predict the future, and when his dreams.
Yeah.
They keep coming back to this, that he describes his dreams and they are in a way coming true.
Yeah, and he dreams of marrying Ed. He does. Mm-hmm. He dreams of the bounty hunter. He appears.
And then
so then we can hopefully his last dream of Nathan Jr. growing up and them having a fruitful life, Ed and H.I. Hopefully that comes true as well, but we don't know.
Yeah, and I like this explanation, non-explaining explanation.
Yeah.
But yeah, there isn't that much really to say about the movie except just explaining things, because
it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it's very straightforward, and also it's just the technical aspects of the movie, well, the acting and the cinematography in this, it's good.
I think for being this early in someone's career, I think it's great at certain points. Especially like all the different filmmaking techniques that they use. The cinematography, it's a typical like long steady shots where not a lot moves, but there's also this hectic handheld camera running through houses and stores, and then there's even a Sam Raimi inspired like I don't know how they did in this one, but like motorcycle camera used. Yeah. At first you think it's supposed to be a motorcycle, but then it goes up a ladder and into a window. It's like, oh wait, what's happening? That scene when they go into the bedroom of the babies, into the mouth of the mother, it's like, oh right, they used to share an apartment with Sam Raimi back in the 80s. That was straight up Evil Dead.
That's true. There are a few specific scenes that are kind of interesting.
I think
the other one
was interesting.
The other one that stands out to me is the one where the chase scene after he robs the convenience store.
Yeah, it goes on forever.
Yeah, and specifically the scene where he runs through the house is really interesting. How they
yeah, that's when they have the very hectic handheld camera.
Also very, very Sam Raimi-esque.
Yes.
When Bruce Campbell is being chased.
Yeah, through the house, yeah. But that scene also almost feels surreal, because he's running, like, sometimes at the same speed as a car, and he never stops running for, like, 10 minutes. So it almost feels like it's like heightened reality, just for, not for any specific purpose, just because that's what the scene needs.
And it's also this weird song or soundtrack in the background.
Oh yeah, I love it. The banjo,
it really
yodeling song.
Yeah, banjo yodeling. It sets sets such a weird mood in that scene.
Yeah, well, it is the theme of the song. It does come up at several points in the movie.
Yeah, but specifically in that scene, it's because it just keeps on and on and on. It feels like, at least.
Yes. It helps with the stress of that scene, definitely. Yeah. But then also a lot of things that then reappear in Coen movies, like the strange, both cinematography but also like set design of the Nathan, Arizona house, where everything seems like it's bigger than it has to be, like the living room that they're sitting in when they're reading. Like, everything is huge except for them in the room, and it's filmed from like a low angle. And it makes everything look weird somehow. And the same thing with the baby's room. Everything, I guess it's supposed to like show that they are rich. That they're the rich people in this little like bubble of people that they're mostly like middle class anyway. They're just upper middle class. But they have the huge baby room with all the very stark colors, especially in the baby room, and the living room. It sticks out more than any other place. It almost looks surreal. A lot of the movie feels surreal.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
That. Yeah.
There's also this thing with the family, the rich family.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was just me or if it's actually intended in the movie, but it felt that they started out as these sort of cartoonish characters, over the top and very, as you said, the things in their house seem so big, and his when he do the interview when they discover the baby's gone, and he still needs to advertise his store, and it's just, it feels very silly, and they feel very silly. But
it's a typical like rich, evil rich guy, but even though he's not evil.
Exactly. But then the further we go through the movie, the more down to earth and human they become.
Yeah.
At least for me. Especially in the last scene, one of the last scenes of the movie, when they actually talk with him, and he just straight up seems like a good guy, and he confesses that but he tells them that he couldn't survive without his wife, and that he really loves his family, and it feels like two completely different characters from how we started and how we ended. And I don't know if that's intentionally or not, but I like it.
For me, it felt intentional because at first they just seemed like them rich folks that got a lot of babies while we got nothing. And it kind of justifies why they can take one of their babies. They have enough already, both in baby matters and money matters. But the further the movie goes, the more both H.I. and Ed realize that, wait, we can't just take someone's baby. And I know Ed says that outright towards the end. So, and when they return the baby, I mean, in that scene, they are the bad guys. They've done something wrong. And in a typical rich Texan, but this is Arizonan guy, would be like, oh, put them in irons, throw them into prison. But he, at that point, just wants his baby back. So, and they have gradually humanized him during the movie. And I think that is intentional to kind of, because no one is really, except for Leonard Smalls, no one is really bad in this movie. Not even the criminals.
No.
So I guess they also wanted to what's it called? The thing that Rian Johnson wanted to do. Subvert people. Humanize and subvert people's expectations with the rich store owner. That, oh, look, he has a heart as well. Because it is a very like happy and positive movie.
But this movie also exists in this Brothers Coen land that a lot of their movies do. At least the movies before 2010. Where no crime is serious in a way. Where even when people talk about murdering and bank robbing, it's all just fun and games. As you said, with you have these criminals from the break out of jail, and they have to do a heist, but it's just they're just having fun. It's just and then they go back to prison when they're done, and it's this weird no stakes world in a way, or well, there are stakes, but where we all know that it will end happily in the end, no matter really what happens. I think both Big Lebowski and Oh Brother Where Art Thou, they have the same this weird world.
And even Hudsucker Proxy has a bit of that as well, if I don't remember wrong. I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah, I don't think I have seen that movie.
Okay, it's a pretty good movie. It's a Christmas movie. That's why I like it. Yeah, but I think that's the two different versions of a Coen movie, because you have the movies that are comedies, and all of their comedies are more or less straight up comedies. This one is the most straight up comedy, but still, even like criminals and murderers are still, they're fun and happy go lucky somehow. And the crimes, they're not too bad. Some people die, sure, but it's ultimately fine. And then you have the super dark movies like Blood Simple or No Country for Old Men or True Grit.
Fargo?
Yeah, Fargo. Fargo's a pretty good middle thing.
It is
that's still funny, but when the actual crimes are committed, they're horrific.
Yeah.
And so you have those two different versions of Coen movies, or two different kinds of Coen movies, and this one definitely falls into the comedy category.
Yeah.
So like when they want to make a fun and just entertaining movie, that's what it is. Nothing. It's not like, ooh, but it's deceptively dark. No, it's just fun. It's fun. We can do deceptively dark and interesting and deep and layered in another movie, but if we're making it fun, it's fun.
Yeah, I sort of gave up on the Coen brothers.
Really?
Around, it was No Country for Old Men, I think. Well, I didn't give up then.
Okay,
that's when I started to give up on them, because I was really into
similar,
them. I really like their movies. I didn't see all of their movies, but I like them. Looking forward to them. No Country for Old Men, I really don't like that movie. For the same reason as I've mentioned before, I don't like The Godfather. Because it's a boring movie about boring people doing nothing. And that's apparently good cinema. But so I didn't like No Country for Old Men. But I was everyone can do a bad movie. Then I saw Burn After Reading, and that was
I never saw that one.
It felt like they were someone was trying to do a Coen Brothers movie, but didn't really succeed. It's just and then I saw A Serious Man, which I thought was kind of it was okay.
I love that movie. That was kind of what brought me back to the Coen Brothers, because I wasn't, the first time I watched No Country for Old Men, I wasn't a fan either. And I was mostly a fan before that. But then I skipped Burn After Reading, but I love The Serious Man. But then I kind of like, I think it was that I liked their more comedic movies.
Yeah.
Both their comedies and the like weirdly comedic movies like Fargo and The Serious Man. So I skipped True Grit. I don't think I have seen it still. And same thing with Inside Llewyn Davis. It just didn't look like a movie I'd like. And then Hail Caesar, skipped that as well. And it wasn't until last month when I watched The Ballot of Buster Scruggs for the first time, which I'd also dismissed. Like, I don't want to watch this. It's a collection of short stories. No, thank you. But I watched it, and it's great. I think it's great. Some stories more than others. But then I went back and watched, just a few weeks ago, No Country for Old Men. And while I might not think it's a perfect movie, it's great. It's an amazing movie still. Which I didn't realize that in 2004. Maybe because I was 14, so I was a little young, maybe.
2004?
Oh no, 2007. No. 2007. Sorry, still 17. I don't think I was old enough to understand that movie.
Yeah,
but I did this time.
I have gone back to try to see No Country for Old Men, but still can't handle that movie. But yeah,
so I guess that movie it's called No Country for Old Men, but it's definitely a movie for older people, about older people. If that makes sense. I mean, we're not going to discuss this. We'll do a Coen Brothers podcast for that.
Yeah, sure. But so I didn't see anything after A Serious Man.
Okay.
So I haven't seen anything after that one. I have, as you said, heard that The Ballad of Buster Scruggs is great.
Yes.
I have been thinking about seeing it, but I'm still not a big fan of Coen Brothers after Serious Man, without giving him a chance.
Okay, yeah.
But what I was going to say was, this Arizona Jr. is the old Coen Brothers that I really like, or Racing Arizona.
Yeah.
It's called Arizona Jr. in the Swedish
right?
title,
yeah,
and for some reason my brain has just overridden that that's what it's called. It took too long for me to just find the movie, because I was googling the wrong name for like hours. And I was like, why can't I find this movie? I know it. It's not that weird.
I know it exists somewhere.
But yeah, so this is I'd say this is when the Coen Brothers their good era starts.
Oh sure, yeah. I haven't seen all of Blood Simple, but yeah, this is where they. So I won't say that's like bad, but this is where they found their footing. And that's also interesting because lot of people who start off very strong have a their first movie becomes super popular and gets a bunch of good reviews. Their second movie usually it's called a sophomore slump, where they try to recreate that and they can't because they only had that one good story in them. But here it's definitely just like looking at like technical comparisons. They just went in a completely different direction. Like, we're going to show you we can do more good movies and we can do different movies. So from the very like scaled down and Spartan look in Blood Simple to this almost like cartoonish look. In Racing Arizona.
And then from this movie going to Miller's Crossing and Barton. It's just
and then that's once again back to their comedy. The Hudsucker Proxy has a similar like style to Racing Arizona. Well, yeah, you hadn't seen it, but it's similar in like camera technique and a lot of the set design is the same thing. It's off, especially since that takes place like up in the rich people's skyscrapers in New York. So it's all like big and Art Deco. It reminds you a lot of Nathan Arizona's house.
Okay.
And then they did their middle movies, Fargo and Big Lebowski, they're comedies, but they're dark. Yeah. And then they kind of went back to comedy with Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yeah. Just quickly, when we're talking about the Coen brothers, what is your favorite Coen brothers movie?
Oh,
is it No Country? You really sold it.
Yes, it's very good, but I've only thought it was very good for like a few weeks.
Okay.
I think my favorite, I have to say, The Big Lebowski. I mean, that movie, it has impacted my life so much. I mean, it's been my favorite Coen movies for over 10 years at this point. I mean, I'm even a priest in the Church of Judaism. Like, it's obviously my favorite Coen movie.
Yeah, sure.
After that, though, I mean, it's a toss-up. A Serious Man, I will say, No Country for Old Men, or maybe even Fargo, I would say, or like a close second. All those. What's your favorite?
Barton Fink is my favorite movie.
I remember liking it, but I haven't seen it in so long, so I can't.
I sometimes go back to see. I've seen it several times. It's one of those movies where I can't really say anything that is weak in it. It's just everything works and everything is great, and also not to go too deep into it, but also that movie, for anyone who hasn't seen it, if you watch it, remember that the plot only goes forward when he writes his script.
Yeah,
it's kind of interesting. So it's like the writer of the movie has writer's block when the character in the movie has writer's block.
Yeah.
But anyway, really sort of bridging Barton Fink and Racing Arizona. Do you think that the Coen brothers write characters for John Goodman? They have to, right? I
think so. I know this was the first time they worked with him, but after this, yeah, probably.
Because he in almost every Coen brothers movie, he has this way of talking, this that, because in this movie he is the Racing Arizona, he is a convict who is sort of lower class convict. You get sort of the I don't know, lower class hillbilly redneck vibe.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But still, he has this very expansive vocabulary. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he has this. He really goes talking philosophically, and he talks like a very smart and philosophical man sometimes, and then sometimes he goes very brutish and very just screaming and being an angry guy.
Yeah,
and it feels like that's how he usually is portrayed in Coen Brothers movies for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know why specifically him, but I think I can understand why they write dialogue like that, both for him and some other characters as well. Especially some of the characters in No Country for Old Men talk like that. But I think it's this mix of, because they're, from what I understand, they're from the South, sort of, or at least that's where they started making their movies. No, they're from Minnesota. Well, it's a flyover states. So the language in Raising Arizona and Ballot of Buster Scruggs and the movies that take place in the South, it's very much influenced by the way they talk there. It's the way people talk, like in the Wild West. Like they had a way of talk like that we don't talk, that we don't, a way of using language that we don't use today. But it's also probably partly like a made up way we think cowboys talked. Like they had this eloquent way of using the language that they probably didn't do too much in reality, but in myth they do, and that's the way they write. I don't know why they do that specifically for him, though. I don't know if that made any sense. I was rambling.
Yeah, but it makes some sense. But it's just this, because in this movie there are other characters, like his brother also talks in this way, and I think H.I. also talks like this at some points throughout the movie. And if we go to other movies, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? George Clooney talks in this way too.
Yeah, it's an older way of talking, which has kind of persisted in the South.
Yeah, but
mainly because they're kind of backwards.
Yeah, so it is a way of writing that they just do, which is one of the biggest charms, I think, because I love that way of writing dialogue. It's almost as iconic as Quentin Tarantino's way of writing dialogue.
Yes.
But even movies that doesn't have this, they usually put in John Goodman to talk like that. Because I mean, in Barton Fink, that takes place in the Hollywood, and they have John Goodman there, he's talking South with South dialect.
But he's not from the South in that movie.
Isn't he?
I don't know. That's maybe why he talks like that. I mean,
no.
I don't remember.
He is from the South and talks like that. But it's just that, we need to have John Goodman talk like this. Brother, Where Art Thou? Where he's the Cyclops and he talks like that.
Oh yeah.
Big Lebowski. He's not from the South in that one, I think.
No,
but he has that way of talking still.
Yeah, it's not like in a Southern way, but he's very eloquent when it comes to words.
Yeah. And I'm just wondering if this is something which is specifically, we need John Goodman talking in this way.
Well, in all the movies I've seen with him, both Coen movies and otherwise, he's very good at delivering dialogue. I mean, maybe not better than anyone else, but he is very, very good at it. So writing fun, intricate, eloquent dialogue for him, that must be a treat when he reads it to you, back to you.
Yeah.
So maybe that's just why he's really good at this. Let's write really good dialogue for him.
Yeah. Because it doesn't feel like they write a character and then think, oh, John Goodman would be good for this. It's more like they write a character for John Goodman to play in their movies. That they have him in mind even at the writers' table. That's how it feels.
I'm certain of that. I know they wrote all the way back in Racing Arizona. They wrote the role of Ed for not lost her name, but damn it, what's her name?
Holly Hunter.
Holly Hunter. I would have called her Bonnie Hunter. I don't know. Yeah, Holly Hunter. That role was written for her, and I know they've done that with other roles as well. I know the dude, I think, it was based on a real character, but it was specifically written for Jeff Bridges. So they tend to do that. So it makes sense that they would do that for John Goodman as well.
Yeah, and there's a lot of interesting, good characters in Raising Arizona.
All characters are interesting. I mean, they always do that. They always write every character has a little quirk. They're not just like side characters, set dressing. Basically, they're all characters.
Yeah, I completely forgot that William Forsyth was in this movie.
I didn't know it, but I was glad to discover it because I like William Forsyth.
I think it's weird to see him in this kind of role.
Yeah, I'm mostly known as a bad
plays.
Guy. Yeah.
He usually plays like I'm thinking the stereotypical William Forsyth character is the Devil's Rejects character.
The police, the sheriff. Yeah.
Yeah, the hard sheriff who needs to get the bad guys.
Yeah.
Weird to see him play this cartoonish bad guy sort of person.
And it's also, what's really weird is to see him without a mustache, because he almost always has a mustache otherwise.
He doesn't have a mustache on his IMDb pictures, though. So,
he doesn't?
For some reason.
Yeah, but for me, he will always be the bad guy from Out for Justice in my head. It's the first Steven Seagal movie I saw where he's an insane meth smoking super violent mobster who is the movie starts with him killing a police officer and then basically like just reconciling with fate and saying, yeah, I'm gonna die tonight because every police officer's gonna come after me. So I'm gonna have a fucking good time until I do. So he just does drugs, he fucks hookers, he beats up people. He is the most disgusting person I've ever seen in a movie. And I saw this when I was like, I don't know, 8. So that is imprinted in my head. Pretty bad movie after having watched it again a while ago, but William Forsyth is...
But it is stuck in the mind.
Oh yes, because he is disgusting, but in a good way for actors way. So, check it out, I suppose.
Yeah, sure. Steven Seagal movies isn't really a selling point for me.
No. But this is from the 90s. This is before they were bad. Anyway, yeah, but I'll always remember it. For me, he's always like angry, maybe not evil, but angry and dangerous. And here he's just like a big baby.
Yeah, he's like he's the good one of the brothers.
Yeah. Even though they both become very maternal. Everyone just loves that baby.
Yeah,
which
there's
I think
something about that baby.
Yeah, and once again, the whole thing about no one is actually a bad guy except for the Manhunter. Everyone is kind of good, even though they're criminals. I mean, everyone's a criminal in this movie, basically, except for I guess, except for the one who's usually the criminal in movies like this, the big rich guy who owns a furniture empire. He's the only guy who hasn't broken any laws, at least not in the movie. There's another oh no, the word subverting of people's expectations. But let's talk a little bit more about Nicolas Cage.
Yes.
Since this is the Nicolas Cage podcast, Madness in the Method.
He wasn't very Nicolas Cage in this, I'd say.
No, I know. But I think, for me, I know why it is, for me at least, because every character is a Nicolas Cage character in this movie. Everyone screams, has weird dialogue, weird quirks. The whole movie is over the top. So him just being Nicolas Cage is like, okay, he's just as regular as everyone else in this movie, I suppose.
It felt sort of like he was... Well, not completely, but in a way, the straight man in the story.
Yeah,
in this one, because he was almost always the one who said no, but then got convinced.
Oh yeah,
he said no to everything. He just, this doesn't seem like a good idea. to steal a baby, but then he does it. And then when they do steal a baby, he chickens out at the... You can't steal a baby.
Yeah.
And then Ed tells him to, and and the same with the brothers and the bank robbery and.
Yeah, and I mean that's even. I think that's part of his personality, that he's kind of a pushover, because even in his internal dialogue, he's like, "Oh, I thought it was a great idea to steal the baby," but that just before the title card comes up, if you look at him, he's obviously not like happy they're going to steal a baby. He looks miserable as he's checking the ladder and getting into the car. And then when they're leaving with the baby, and when his boss comes over for a visit with all his kids, he looks miserable, both because he realizes, maybe I don't want kids, and also because, oh no, I stole a child.
Yeah.
But he never lets that that side of him show to anyone except for, to the audience.
Yeah. Also, another thing with his performance, I don't know if it's the performance or if it's a movie, I don't know. But this one, I'd say this is the first time he really felt like a main character. Like he was the star of the movie. He has been main character in movies we've seen before.
Yeah.
But this one, I don't know if it's just because this is the first really good movie, or that he's a star in, or that he wasn't co-star with anyone.
No, I think he does co-star with the other ones, but he, it's his first big movie. I think he wanted Boy in Blue to be his first big movie, but it kind of got forgotten.
Yeah.
So this was his first real big movie, and working with even at this point like established directors in Joel and Ethan Coen.
Yeah, it somehow felt in his performance, or in the way we looked at him, that it was a way the movie was made and the way he performed, that now we can see that he is a star. He's going to become a star. Mm-hmm. He's not just because I mean, in all the movies before, he's been the friend or the co-star with someone else on the Racing with the Moon, where he co-stars with Penn. And it's just this one, it really felt like his movie in a way.
Oh, sure.
Even Ed felt like a side character.
Because he's the narrator of the story. It becomes his story more than anyone else's.
And as you said, Boy in Blue maybe should have been his first main story. The problem there was it was just a bad movie.
Well, it wasn't very good.
It doesn't work. I think also that movie didn't really... it wasn't really made with his strengths in mind.
No, definitely not.
Because you feel that in this one, he's a physical actor.
Oh yes.
It isn't just expressions. It's also a lot of body language and a lot of working with everything he got. And I think in The Boy in Blue, there was mostly, he was rowing. But more than that, he was mostly just standing around talking.
Yeah, they wanted him to be like a typical Hollywood hunk, which he's not.
Yeah, he's a special kind of beast.
He's very special, yes.
And this one, they really played into that. And let him let loose. And as you said, let the other characters be even bigger than him, which made him seem sort of normal.
Yeah. It made him the straight guy in this movie, which he's not at all, really.
I'd say the only issues that I had with his performance in this movie, and I don't know if that's maybe intentional, and it's just not my preference, but in some of the fight scenes, he did a lot of weird things with his eyes. He squinted a lot, squinted with one eye and staring. It looked like he pretended to have a black eye sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's intentional. I mean, there's even one when he gets when after they had their boss there and they're going to buy diapers, he gets, I think that, or maybe it's after the diaper scene, he gets slapped by Ed, and he looks straight into the camera and basically does the eyes, like they're rolling around in his head.
Yeah.
I think that is intentional, that they're, some of the violence is, or most of the violence, most of the movie is so cartoonish, it's almost like a live-action cartoon. So I think that is intentional.
Yeah. So yeah, it is possible that it is intentional. It's, but I did not like it. I think it kind of took me out of the movie because specifically was the scene. There was a lot of other examples, but the best example is when he's fighting with Leonard Smalls. Small. That's Smalls, right? Yeah. And they go toe to toe, and he tries to crawl under the car.
Yes, yeah.
And in that, he just squints a lot with his left eye.
I know, he does that a few times.
And I'm not sure why do you do this? This looks just weird. It sort of took me out because it felt like a weird choice. But again, maybe they were going for a cartoony style that just wasn't for me.
Yeah, no, yeah. For me, it didn't bother me because I thought it fit with the tone of the movie. I mean, in that scene when he's being dragged out from under the car, he literally does the trying to grab the ground with his fingers.
Yeah.
The only thing that could have made it even more cartoony is if they added the screech sound, but they didn't, because that's too much.
Yeah. I have no issues with the cartoonish violence. It was just his acting to the cartoonish violence that bothered me.
Sure.
Other than that, I think I thought he was great in this movie.
Yeah.
Don't know if it's his best acted movie so far.
You thinking in the movies we've seen him in?
Yeah. So far, when we go through this list, I only talk about the movies we already seen.
Oh, okay. That's good because we are supposed to discover him as we go along.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think he was
it's up there, but
yeah, but he was more. Again, maybe that was the point. That was maybe directional. The director's choice.
Yeah.
But he had a lot of more range and a lot more interest in Birdie. It was a lot more interesting in Birdie.
Oh, sure. Yes.
In just his acting chops, so to speak.
Definitely. But I would say that this played more to his strengths in being a more insane and funny character, because he is. I think he's better as a comedic actor than a serious actor. And even in most of his serious roles, he does stuff that makes you laugh anyway, because he's so strange. So for me, he is more a comedic actor. So I'll put this up on the same level as Birdie, but in a different style.
Yeah. I mean, that is why we even started this podcast, because he is this somewhere between serious and comedic, and he's comedic in serious movies and serious in comedic movies, and he's all over the place.
He's all over the place.
So.
And we've discovered that that's been the way almost from the beginning of his career. So
I did read just regarding. I just want to think about that world, because apparently, I forgot his name now. Kevin Costner.
Yeah?
So he auditioned for the role of H.I.
Oh no!
3 times!
Oh my god! Does it say why they didn't pick him?
No, it just said he auditioned for the role 3 times. But I just
that would have been terrible.
Yeah, the world where H.I. is played by Kevin Costner. Now it's not a world I want to live in. No,
but at the same time, since Joel and Ethan Coen are such good directors, maybe they could have I don't think they could have made Kevin Costner act the way that Nicolas Cage does. That's impossible, because Kevin Costner is he's very stuck in his ways when it comes to acting. Yeah. But I think they could have made it work.
I mean, Kevin Costner he's one of those actors, just as I say that Tom Cruise is one of those actors. People don't agree with me, but it's the truth. People are wrong. That they only play themselves, or the role they want to be.
Sure.
They have decided a cool character, and then they only played that character forever in every movie.
I'll agree with you on Kevin Costner there. But Tom Cruise has range. But then, whatever.
Yeah, he has range, but he doesn't want to do it.
Okay. That's very true of his later career. Yes, I agree with that. Yeah.
Because, I mean, we see that he's great in Tropic Thunder.
Oh, yes.
He's amazing in that movie. But he doesn't
I didn't even know it was him until I saw the credits.
Yeah, same.
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, I was throughout the movie, I know this actor, but
but I couldn't pinpoint it.
Yeah, but no, he wanted to play the cool action, tall Tom Cruise character that he plays in every movie since Tropic Thunder.
No, I agree.
So, so I can't see how Kevin Costner would do in this movie. How?
Yeah, I don't know. He's never been in a Coen movie. I mean, they rarely like fail with directing actors, so who knows? Yeah. But it's hindsight. Like, it wouldn't have been as good as Nicolas Cage doing it, but who knows?
Coen brothers, they have to be and have had that reputation for a long time, right? Where they can just more or less just pick actors.
Yeah, more or less.
And actors would they will say no to other things because Coen brothers says that they maybe wants them.
That's for the most part that's what I've heard as well. Yeah.
And I mean, and it shows because they have the greatest actors in their movies.
And that's also another thing. I don't know if they did that back in this era of their career, but I know nowadays, like actors, there's no like ad-libbing or freestyling, putting in your own dialogue. No, what they write is what you say verbatim.
Yeah.
So I think that also adds to the fact that they have directed a lot of like good performances, even a lot of, or at least some Oscar-winning performances. Like, they know what they want, and they'll make you get there, basically. That feels very rare. A lot of other directors are kind of like, do your thing, kind of like this.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't have a lot of those Hitchcock directors anymore.
Yeah.
It's Coen brothers and it's sort of Quentin Tarantino. Sort of. I think he's not that much anymore, but he was more of that before.
Yeah.
Let's say. But yeah, I mean it's a good movie.
Yeah, it was really good.
And I'm excited for the next movie too. Next two movies.
Well, all right, it's Moonstruck.
Yeah, next one is Moonstruck, the movie that I've heard about for ages.
Yeah, me too. I've never seen it.
And then we have the one.
Yes, Vampire's Motherfucking Kiss. I mean,
is that the one you have like a big analysis video of on your channel?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I still haven't seen that video because I want to see the movie first.
Yeah. Don't because I've said this before. I say this every time we bring up this movie. I don't want to overhype it, which I already have, but I don't want to overhype it more.
The movie or your video?
The movie. My video also. It's a work of genius, but the movie. I'm talking about the movie. Yeah, but I'm pretty excited for you to watch this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm gonna like it, but I think I'm gonna enjoy it. If you put it like that.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
We'll see.
So, maybe some scores for Racing Arizona, or do you have anything else you want to add before scores?
Not really. I thought it was fun that Randall Cobb played the bad guy, because he's in not a bunch, but he's in some Jim Carrey movies where he has like super small roles. It's a name. I was like, hey, Randall Tex Cobb. So when I saw he had a bigger role in this one, I was like, oh, nice.
Apparently he couldn't ride a motorcycle before this movie.
Yeah, I read that. Which is insane, because he barely ever walks. He's always on that motorcycle.
Yeah, it's just the fight scene we ever see him walk, right? He sits at places, but we never see him walk in and walk out.
No, yeah, he walks once into the unpainted furniture store.
Oh, right, but it's just close-ups, so we don't actually see the feet touch the ground.
Other than that, he's always on. He even opens doors with his motorcycle.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Very good character. Very well portrayed by Randall Cobb. But yes, scores.
Mm-hmm.
What will you be scoring it?
I'm actually gonna give this one an 8.
Oh, okay.
So.
And I will, of course, give it a 7. No, I'm actually going to give this an 8 as well.
Oh, really? So it's not a 7 this time?
No, it is an 8 because for what it is, a comedy, it worked perfectly for me.
Yeah,
and I mean, not like saying like, oh, because it's a comedy, a lower kind of movie, but even as a movie, it was very unflawed, and I laughed a lot. So it's an 8 out of 10 for me.
Yeah. Same. It's just it's not perfect. There are obviously some small nitpicks, and maybe the story isn't the greatest story in the world, but you have fun. You're very entertained, and as I learned when we talked about it, there is a lot of small interesting things.
Yeah.
Because when I was done watching the movie, I was thinking, I don't have any much to talk about because it wasn't that interesting technically, but obviously it was. Because we've been talking about it for like over an hour.
Yeah. There's a bunch of stuff there.
So yeah, it's a good movie.
It's so far. No, I was gonna say it's the highest reviewed movie so far, but that's Rumblefish.
Yeah.
Since I changed my.
But you gave this the same score as Rumblefish, the revised score of Rumblefish.
Yes, because I recognize the genius in Rumblefish. I just have to rewatch it and kind of try and figure it out. If I do that'd probably climb up to a 9 or a 10 for me. Because I just need to understand it. Maybe not a 10, but at least a 9.
I wonder if there could be any 10s in this podcast. There should be. Just statistically. Because he made so many movies, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil any movies if you haven't seen them, but there might be.
Con Air 10.
Oh, that's a 12. Yes.
12, yeah, obviously.
Maybe even 15. I don't know.
But yeah, so next week, Moonstruck.
Yes, Moonstruck. Just a regular romantic comedy.
Yeah.
But maybe it'll surprise us. Who knows?
Yeah. But you haven't seen it at all.
No. I've only seen the trailer.
Yeah. Moonstruck was one of those movies that I always what did you say? There's another movie that I always... Oh yeah, Moonstruck and Wolf. I always thought those two movies were the same movie.
Oh, okay. I think they're very different.
I haven't seen Wolf either. That's why.
Oh, okay. That's a weird one. Pretty good, but weird.
Yeah.
You're thinking of one with Jack Nicholson, right?
Yeah. And I have no idea why. I think it's just because this has Moon in the title, and they came out around sort of maybe the same decade.
Yeah, early 90s, both. Yeah.
I don't know. So yeah, I have definitely no idea.
I just remember seeing not even like a proper trailer, but like when it was showing on TV in Sweden, they had like when they showed ads for this Friday we're showing Moonstruck. That's the trailer I remember watching. So yeah, I've never seen the whole thing. So I'm interested because it's very well reviewed, so it should be good.
Yeah. So see that next week.
Yes. So yeah, if you want to follow along, watch Moonstruck until next episode. And also, if you wanna hear this podcast, it's still only available on our Patreon. However, when you hear this episode, we will have started uploading it for free on Spotify and iTunes and all that. But if you're hearing this, hopefully you've already joined us on Patreon. But if you haven't, all the coming episodes will always be released early, at least a week early on Patreon. So check us out there. Also check us out there for exclusive episodes of my other podcast, the Spoilercast, and early sneak peeks of videos and even exclusive videos. And also just to help us keep the podcasts and videos alive. And helping this channel, this thing growing. So check us out. It's patreon.com/don'tmakeascene. But yeah, that's gonna have to be it. Racing Arizona, and we'll see you next time from Moonstruck. But until then, have a good one. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
The Nicolas Cage podcast is part of Please Don't Make a Scene. It's produced, directed, and edited by Tobias Widén. Hosted by Tobias Widén and Christopher Bylén after an original idea by Christopher Bylén. Executive producer is Annika Widén. And a big thank you to all our sponsors over at Patreon for keeping the show going. Laura Kinney, Rasmus Jonsson, Mom and Dad. If you also want to join our Patreon, you can at www.patreon.com/don'tmakeascene. Help us keep the show going.